Alright guys, so the blueprint in practice, episode 4. This is going to be my primary way of channeling my training footage is going to be through these videos, I think. So I'm probably not going to make a lot of the short form or like highly edited training videos moving forward because there's just nothing left to talk about. But yeah, so actually, the day after my last week's video, I hit 9 reps with 11 kilos in the weight vest. And I said that when I hit that rep amount, good reps, then with proper form, then I would increase the weight to 15 kilos or 35 pounds, I think. And that's what I'm training with in this video. So I've been training with this for about a week. And as predicted, I'm able to do around 5 reps with that weight. 5 to 6 reps. I think in this video you're going to see me do 6 reps. So a kilo or 2.2 pounds on the chin up when you're using the weight vest is equivalent to 1 rep. And here in the warm up you see me doing pull-ups, and that was just for fun. I don't normally do pull-ups. I like chin-ups better, but they felt just as easy, honestly. So maybe there's not a big difference between pull-up and chin-up strength. Yeah, and then what I'm doing in the background is warming up, obviously. So you just do like, I think I'm doing 5 reps here in the push-up. I just got some blood flowing into the muscles and the joints. Like that. That's my warm-up. Like there's absolutely no need to do anything complicated. Some people spend 30 minutes warming up or something insane. It's like that's half my weekly time working out. You're just spending warming up for one session. That's only necessary if you're like fucking trying to beat a world record or something in like powerlifting. It's absolutely insane. But now I'm going into my first set here. And I think I'm going to hit 6 reps, as I said before. And this obviously feels way heavier than previously because it's 4 kilos more. But yeah, it's just about keeping that proper form. So you still want to retract your scapula, get your chin over the bar, etc., etc. That's super important because if you don't do the exercises with proper form, you increase your likelihood of injury. Let's say if you go too heavy, so your form breaks down, and you just don't target the muscles you would otherwise target as well as you otherwise could. So on the push-up, as I'm doing right now, if I don't do this with proper form, let's say, I don't come all the way down to the bottom or whatever because I'm not strong enough to do the exercise, then I'm not going to get the full stretch portion of the movement, which is the most important bit, I believe. I believe the stretched portion, lengthened partials or whatever. So just doing the stretched portion of any movement is actually just as effective for building muscle and with that strength as doing in full range of motion. That's also why you see me, I don't go all the way up on each rep in the push-up, for example. That's because you don't have to do that. It's just as effective to do lengthened partials or only training in the stretched part of the movement. I mean, I prefer to do full range of motion, but in the push-up, I don't. So you see me on the squat, for example, all the way down, all the way up. So that's full range of motion, I suppose. Whereas a lengthened partial would be me not coming up all the way at the top here, sort of stopping beforehand. And that's just as effective, apparently. But yeah. And I went a little deeper on the squats than usual, so all the way down, whereas beforehand I used to, or that's what I usually do, I don't go all the way down because I want to stop my back from cracking. But look, if you're not training that heavy, it's not a big deal. So if your back, curves over a little bit, fine. It's called your butt winking, I believe. If that happens, fine. Like, it's not a big deal. If you're only training with 15 kilos, even 30 kilos, like this only matters if you're going super, super heavy. Like, I think. I mean, ideally you don't do that, I suppose, but that's just what I've been doing the past couple of workouts here. So full range of motion. It feels better for some reason. I'm able to do less reps as well, so I get the squats done faster. And yeah, ideally just do the exercises in a full range of motion. So you come all the way down in the squat, for example. Anyway, I also find myself having to rest a little bit because of the heavier weight. But this is second set being initiated. And someone asked me the other day how many reps I'm able to do if I do 5 reps in the first set, for example. And typically, like for the same amount, so I think here I'm actually going to be able to do 5. Like 1 or that was 4. So like 1 or 2 reps less typically. But it all depends on how hard you go on the first set. So I always go super hard in the first set and try to beat like my previous max. So the next workout, so as I did 6 repetitions on the chin up, my first workout here, I'll try to hit 7 the next workout. And in that way, just constantly push forward and get stronger, right? Progressively overload over time. That's the most effective way of doing that. And if you go super hard in the first set, that's gonna make set 2 and 3 less. You're gonna be able to do less repetitions, I suppose. But that's just how I do it. Because it just keeps it simple. So first set is all that really matters. Like in the other 2 sets, I just go as hard as possible and get a little fewer reps. I don't think it plays that big a deal. Just always train to failure. That's the most important part. So you give your muscle that stimulus for growth, right? But that's set 2. And I think my mother is a nurse, and she told me I could get my VO2 Max checked at her where she works. So I'm actually going to do that. And if you don't know, the VO2 Max is like, I think the best test at the moment for your cardiovascular health. So it essentially measures how effective your heart is at pumping oxygen out into your body. And that's sort of your cardiovascular health, right? And that's one of the most important factors, if not the most important factor, like when it comes to fitness in terms of how long you'll live. So it's directly correlated with health span, or lifespan, sorry. So if you have a good VO2 max, your heart is good at pumping oxygen out into your body. For whatever reason, I'm not sure about why that is exactly, but that's it. For some reason, directly correlated with lifespan. And if your heart is not good at that, you're not going to live as long. So, and I have a theory that my cardio is quite good, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how good. Because look, I'm gassed here, and this training will train your cardio. Like maybe not as good as if you only did cardio, but you're still going to train your cardio far more, especially than if you just did like, normal strength training, bodybuilding training, where you do 1 set and rest, 1 set and rest. So if you circuit train, as you see me doing in the background, then you're just going to, first of all, cut down the time it takes to work out, like an extreme amount, because when you're working out, all the time you spend there, you're really just resting in between sets, if you notice. But on top of that, it's going to train your cardio as well, to a degree. So yeah, that'll be interesting. But last set, and here I only did was that 3 reps, and that's fine. Go as hard as you can in the push-up. And on the push-up, I always, focus on my arms, so my triceps, because my chest is one of my, in terms of the aesthetics of my physique or whatever, the chest is one of my strong points, whereas my arms have always been a little smaller, harder to grow. So I always just use the mind-muscle connection and sort of exist in the muscle. So think about the triceps when you train. If you do that, they're going to grow more, I believe. I believe that's shown in studies and stuff. But it also makes sense. You feel the muscle more, you activate more fibers. It's about focus, Here I'm sort of doing a paused rep. That's about it. That was the workout. 10 minutes, and I'm gassed. And then I'm going to do the scapula push-up. This time I'm not going to forget. And that's to counter my scapula winging, which I still have to agree. More and more I think it's just a genetic. Like, past a certain point, it's just... Because my mother and my father also has scapular winging. A lot of people have. And a lot of it can be fixed by doing these. So strengthening your serratus anterior, which is one of the smaller core muscles, which is responsible for keeping your shoulder blade in towards your, or locked on your back, right? So if that's weak, it's going to have a hard time doing that. So just strengthening that is going to fix, what you do with this exercise is going to fix a lot of the problem. But at the end of the day, a lot of it's probably also just skeletal or something like that. But now I'm going to show the physique. And I've gained, I think I'm around, just around 90 kilos. So in the first videos on this channel, I was around 87, 88. So I've gained around, I've gained some mass. Most of it's muscle, but as you can see, I also gained some fat. And that's just inevitable when you're bulking, which I am at the moment. Hence why I'm also getting stronger. It's because I'm getting bigger. I'm getting more muscle. And here I'm trying to flex my non-existent ab muscles. And look, in a couple of months, so I've been bulking for 2-3 months now. In a couple of months, I'm probably going to stop because my abs, which is the proxy for when I stop a bulk. So when my abs disappear and I can't tell them anymore, then I stop the bulk and begin a cut. Then I'm probably going to begin a cut, right? Because I get too fat. And then cut down and get leaner. So you can actually see the physique. And that's really just how you go. So you bulk and you cut, you bulk and you cut, you bulk and you cut. And I mean, that's if you want to get the most out of your training. But all of this is laid out in the blueprint, obviously, which you perhaps have seen if you're watching this video series. But if you don't want to do that, you can just, like most people, I suppose, are just going to want to just eat following their appetite. And that's also fine. But you are just not going to get as good results. But you're gonna get good results. It's just going to be slower. And at the end of the day, you're just not going to build as much muscle, for example. But you're going to get in shape that way. But it's up to you, Depends on what your goals are. But yeah, that was the Blueprint in Practice, episode 4. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, then see you in the next episode.